Howdy folks, it's Generalkidd here. How is everyone doing today? So for today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys another batch of 10 new glitches on the newest version of Halo MCC. Now, as a reminder, these bugs are mainly to point out and help 343 hunt down bugs and other issues so that they can fix them. It is not nitpicking or anything, so just don't want anyone to take it the wrong way, because I know some people were really defensive about it in the past. But anyways, let's get right into it. So the first bug we're going to tackle is what I'm calling the well, I don't really have a name for it, but the description for it is if you start up a game of Forge on another game type besides Forge, like Team Slayer here, for example, then I mean it's fine that way, because in the old Halo games, in Halo 3, if you wanted to forge on a different game type, do specific spawn points for Slayer or specific spawn points for Infection, then you'd have to change the game type. But if you do it on MCC and you change the game type right off the bat, you can see that things are really weird. Actually, it doesn't say Forge. It doesn't, on the little intro box on the bottom right corner, it didn't say it when I was in human mode. But aside from those minor issues with the HUD and the UI, the biggest issue, if you start up any game type, and this is not just Slayer for Forge, if you start a Forge with any game type besides Forge, then Powerups will break. So let's pick it up right away. See, I picked up the Overshield, nothing happened. And if I pick up the other ones, nothing else will happen either. And this doesn't just affect Halo 3 as well. This also affects Halo 2 Anniversary Forge. All the power-ups in that one, while playing in Forge, will not work at all. You can pick them up and all, but it won't do anything. So it's a really weird bug that kind of breaks a lot of stuff actually in game. Now, the problem with that bug is that for number 2, if you start up a game type in Forge, like you actually picked the Forge game type this time, and then you start up the game, obviously it'll load into Forge just fine, and from here, once you're in the game, everything will work just fine as well. Power-ups and everything, the Forge game type itself is fine. There's no issues with that. However, if you start it up and then and this is kind of like a new thing with one of the more recent updates, I guess. I'm not sure when this issue started happening, but I think it's been around for a little bit. But if you start up a Forge game, or actually this even affects custom games, but it's more of an issue for Forge, because if you start it up and then you end the game later, doesn't matter when, but just if you end it eventually, then once you return back to the main menu, your game type changes to Slayer. Usually like the most recent Slayer game type you played, which a lot of people, if you don't notice that change and you start up another Forge game, then that brings us back to issue number 1, where the power-ups are broken, as well as a few other weird issues in the game. So this particular bug, where instead of keeping it Forge, it changes to Slayer, could confuse a few people and cause a few minor headaches. Now, number 3, this one is more of a PSA. You want to watch out for this one, actually, because this one's, I guess you could say this one's pretty game-breaking, actually. But in custom games and Forge, especially for Halo 3 and any Halo game where you can have custom maps, so Halo 2 Anniversary, Halo 3, and Halo 4, if you go to a map where you have a few saved custom maps, like for example, let's try Sandtrap here. If you go into it and you quickly press B and back out, then if you do it quick enough, and this could happen by accident, because sometimes you pick a map and you change your mind really quickly and you back out. If you do it quick enough, then this is what happens. It doesn't bring you back. Instead, all the maps disappear, and you're pretty much locked here to this screen. You can't do anything. It won't take any more input from you. You can't bring up the start menu. You can't back out. You can press any button you want and nothing will happen. You're pretty much stuck here, and you have to quit the game and then start it back up again if you want to get out of this. So just be careful with that. Take it slow through the menus so you don't get locked up. Now, for number 4, with this one, this also happens on only on MCC, and this is on the Halo Anniversary campaign. And this happens on other missions too, but I'm showing you on the mission Halo just because the spirit is right at the beginning. But as you can see, and I'm not sure when this started happening, I don't think this happened on previous versions of MCC, but I could be wrong, and maybe I just never noticed till more recently. But As you can see, when a shade turret shoots at you, instead of shooting out of the turret itself, it fires from the middle of the spirit. And it's not just in Anniversary, it does it in Classic as well. See, it just fires right from the middle. And you can see the in Classic graphics, the barrel, there's still like muzzle flashes when it fires the shots, but it's not coming from the turret itself, it's coming from the center of the spirit. And in Anniversary, when it fires, there aren't even any muzzle flashes at all. It just comes out of nowhere from the middle. You don't even notice it firing. And it's definitely not supposed to be like that. I know sometimes people say like, oh, it was always like that. It's not a bug or anything. But let me show you guys what it looks like on Halo Anniversary on the Xbox 360 version. I can't show you an older MCC version because I don't have an older MCC version, but on the 360 version, as you can already see, in Anniversary it was firing just fine, and on Classic it also fires right from the turret itself, not from the center of the spirit. And of course, if you go on the original Xbox version and PC versions, it's like that as well. Now for number 5, this one's actually kind of funny, but there are some wonky physics in Halo 3 on MCC, and if you shoot a Marine that's in like a certain pose or animation against the wall, like for example these wounded Marines at the beginning of Savo Highway, on MCC, if you shoot them and kill them in the head like that, then their body just flies and just like flings forward in like a really like hilarious fashion. And I don't know why it does that, but it only happens on MCC. And it's not because I have the cowbell skull turned on or anything. It's just literally that MCC has really wonky physics, and they don't match the original Halo 3 physics. And I don't know, like sometimes you can get them to fly really far too. It's a really weird and, well, literally wonky physics bug. And it only affects Marines that are, in that wounded pose against the wall. The ones on the ground normally, even though they're in that wounded pose, they won't get affected at all. And here, on the Xbox 360 version of Halo 3, if you do the same thing again, they don't go flying. They just drop dead, like as you'd expect. And that applies for all the Marines on all the missions of Halo 3. See? No, like, crazy, freaky physics. I even turned on the cowbell skull on Halo 3 Classic, just to be sure. And it's the same thing. The cowbell skull has no effect on whether they fly or not. So... and that's true for both games. With or without the cowbell skull and on MCC, Halo 3, if you shoot those kind of Marines against the wall, they will go flying. But on Halo 3 Classic, nope, doesn't matter if the skull is on or not. Now, for number 6, this one's also an interesting one, and this happens because, well, first of all, Halo 2 is not supposed to have fall damage, but there are actually some circumstances in Halo 2 on MCC where you actually can replicate fall damage, and it's easiest to replicate it consistently on the map Headlong. You just simply fly a Banshee all the way up into the sky, and once you hit the barrier, quickly jump out, and when you drop down and hit the ground, you will take fall damage. But Halo 2 is not supposed to have fall damage in multiplayer or campaign. I know you could die from like falling too long, but that's a fall timer. This is actually fall damage. It's not supposed to be like that, and that's because it comes from the PC version, or the Halo 2 Vista version of the game, which for some reason had fall damage. But here, on the original Xbox version, as you can see right here, if you do the same thing and you drop down, no matter how fast or how far you drop down, you do not take any fall damage at all. And I'll do it a couple more times just so you can see for proof. But only on Halo 2 Vista, aka the PC version of Halo 2, and on MCC, do you have this issue. And like I said, that's because MCC's version of Halo 2 Classic is basically a port of the PC version of Halo 2. So that's why that bug exists. But it's not supposed to be like that. So it is a bug from the PC version that hopefully will get corrected and fixed and made closer to the original Xbox version. For number 7, this is also in Halo 2, and this is another odd issue with Halo 2 Anniversary. And this only happens in Anniversary graphics. But in a well-lit area, such as here, while walking forward, look closely at my gun, and even my Spartan's hands. You could see that the lighting on the SMG and my Spartan is like flickering a lot, like flashing a lot. It looks better it's more clear on the screen on your TV, but you should be able to see it enough on this recording. But you can see only while walking forward does the lighting flicker. If you walk backwards, it's fine. No issues at all. Even though it's the same like animation walking forward and backwards. For some reason, only walking forward do you have that flickering issue on your weapon, and I have no idea why it's like that, but that's that's where it is, and it kind of gets annoying after a while, especially if you stay in like well-lit areas a lot and keep walking around in there. Now, for this next one you have to change your language to something else. But in other languages, the size of the text is not scaled properly in every case, and sometimes words are like too big and too long that they stretch out of their boundaries. And this happens with quite a few languages, but Russian is actually the worst offender for this. And I'll show you what I mean. Right there. See the first two options in the settings? Obviously you can't read it, but you could tell that the text is like way too long and going out of the box and overlapping with the text in the next box. And I can't read Russian at all, but I'm sure because it's overlapping each other, the last couple words are totally unreadable there because they're totally overlapped. So, and it's not just Russian that's affected by this. There's quite a few other languages, but most of them are like more minor, like they overlap a little bit. But Russian overlaps the most with the other text. Now for number 9, this one's actually submitted by a fan, Ultra Shooter 23. He sent me these clips of a really weird bug on MCC, and I can't explain it at all, but I've never seen it happen before on regular Halo 3 ODST. But let me just show you what happens here. So here, all of a sudden he just dropped dead for no reason. And let's play it from a different perspective in theater mode. And I do want to thank him again for sharing these clips with me. He recorded both of them himself, and I figured it was a very interesting bug, and I decided to feature it in this particular video. But anyways, here you can see that's him over there, and then Buck just crouches behind him. I think that was Buck, or it could have been someone else, but he crouches behind him, and then he just dropped dead. So I think like for some reason the AI bumping into him caused him to like just drop dead for some reason. So I guess it's another weird like wonky physics in ODST. Now for our last one, this is also another fan submitted one from Slash Arbiter, I believe. And this one is also a really weird one too. So here, just watch what happens. When he switches this AR and starts firing, the bullets all just freeze in midair, and you can see like the lines still there. And again, it's another weird one, but it's another cool bug for MCC. But yeah, so that's all the bugs we have for today, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to leave a like. Leave your thoughts in the comments. If there's any bugs that you know of that I haven't covered before or haven't been fixed yet, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I might feature in a future video, or I could pass it along to the right people, and hopefully it could get fixed in the future. But other than that, if there's anything else I'm going to check out, just let me know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.